Hello everybody and welcome back to Hearts of Iron, where last episode, Britain decided to launch an invasion out over here, which we're not surprised by. We knew that would happen eventually. And we have some forces on the way over here, but it's going to take them a while to get there. So that's absolutely understood. Now, this force doesn't have orders at this time. And I think all I'm going to do is I'm going to order these guys to area defend. Right over here, like this. They might try to push out and take some of these areas, but I want to make sure that we have, like, defenses along our coastline to prevent them from landing behind us here in Iberia. So that's the plan there. Now, apparently, this unit doesn't have orders here for some reason. This is part of Army 21. It should be part of this line. I don't know why it's not. And then we've got this, which is our infantry reserve. And that doesn't have orders, and that is accurate. It shouldn't have orders for right now. So we're going to be redeploying here for a little bit. It's going to take some time to have all this redeployment happen. And that's understood. They're trying to push out over this direction, and that's definitely not great for us. But our forces are going to be passing through here and should prevent that mostly from happening, with the apparent exception of this. Get in here. Push them out. I'm waiting for these battles up here to end. Okay, there we go. Finally. But these guys have, like, absolutely no strength right now. So we're just going to have to go the long way, I guess. That's certainly not ideal. So these guys are going to be pretty unchecked over here for a little while, and that's absolutely understood. Now we've got tanks arriving over here, which is good, and we'll continue to push into Korea over this way. But this is a new front opening up over here, and I don't know how many of our troops are actually going to be heading over there, but I am going to send our single unit reserve over this way. It's going to take a while. So I was anticipating that we'd be able to walk through here, but this push here was very saddening. That means that we're going to have a lot of forces going the long way, and that's exactly what's happening here. So that's not terribly surprising, but it is sad. Now, one thing to remember is that they only have access to this singular naval base up here. So if we can prevent them from having this naval base, this entire area gets crushed. And that is definitely something that I want to continue to think about. But this down over here, this is going to be obnoxious for a little while. It's going to take us a while to get over there, but we are on the way. We're about halfway there now. So that's absolutely fine. And it looks like we are trying to push out over here. This is our area defenders, and I guess it's fine. I want to check in, not necessarily on this, but actually on our numbers here. Specifically, I want to check on our tank count. Lacking almost 30,000. This number has gone up. Okay. So that's understood. That's not ideal for sure that our tank count has unimproved. Have we been pushed back over on this side? Quite possibly, because we were redeploying, right? We pulled an army off of here, so we may well have lost some territory here. Almost certainly, but that's okay. I'm not that concerned about it. So we'll just make sure that these areas are built up in terms of defenses, and yeah, all that's queued up. That all seems fine for now. So we'll be arriving down over here eventually. Why do we have no division assigned to this? You are supposed to be assigned here. There we go. Cool. So that's absolutely fine for now. And we're just going to continue to try to push in out over this way, but I also wanted to check in on our quantity of infantry equipment. Okay. So I'm going to put in another batch of infantry equipment down here. This is going to go down below these tanks. So this is never actually going to make any progress. We're not going to actually make anything out of this. This is because we have a lack of steel, and that is absolutely understood. So for right now, that is fine. We will have forces arriving over here in the eventual times. But it's not yet. So we have more tanks arriving over here, and that's understood. We'll be pushing in over this direction slowly, and that's definitely happening. So that seems fine. I'd like to have more forces up along specifically this area right over here. I feel like we don't have enough over here. That's why. This is a tank division here. I'm going to move this guy here for now. I don't want to do a redeployment over there just yet, but for the moment, that seems okay. So our tank units that are down over here. I'm going to remove, not all orders. I'm going to remove these offensive line orders over here, and our tank units are going to be offensive lining like this. But I also want these guys here to be offensive lining up over here. This is going to be the same exact offensive line, and they're currently set to aggressively attack. I'm going to move them back to a regular attack, and I'm going to do the same with these. Okay, so we're just going to regular attack out over here, but we want to whittle down their number of supplies. They are very, very limited on their supplies out over in this region. So that seems absolutely fine. Now, our forces are going to start arriving out over here eventually. But this is taking a very long time to respond to. A lot of that is due, if I can scroll, any moment autosave, thank you. A lot of that is due to this situation right here. We would have been there by now if it wasn't for this. But alas, here we are. So we're going to let them exhaust themselves on us. This is absolutely fine. I'm not too concerned about that. I'm a little concerned about our war support, but we're working on it. We're doing what we can. So that all seems relatively okay for now. I think we're good out over here. This front should be relatively stable. This front over here, we are slowly progressing in. Hang on. We can just go here and cut these guys off, can't we? So if we were to attack here, like this, that'll delay them a little bit. Perfect. And now, these guys can just come in right here and wipe this out. Beautiful. So that looks good. They left that open, and I don't know why they did, but they did. This is another potential weak point right here, if we can take this. They do have a force coming in here. We aren't really in a good position to delay that force, but we can try a little bit. Yeah, the force moved in here, so that's understood. So for now, I really do want to get that dealt with, but we need to get these guys under control, and eventually that will happen. There we go. Okay, so how is this going? Well, we're beginning to get our forces over here now. Okay, but they've pushed very hard out over here. So I want to grab this army group. They are going to be offensive lining all the way down to the sea here. If I can... this is close enough. Okay, so they're going to be offensive lining to the sea, and we're going to immediately start pushing. Now, I don't think Britain has very much in terms of troops here yet. Now, so do we. We need to continue to move forces in, and that's understood. So we are attacking out over here a little bit, and that's fine for right now. Okay, they did not leave that empty. I wanted to check that, but they didn't. They've got a lot of forces right up over here, and for the moment, that's fine. What I really want to see... Hello. I'm going to move this guy and one of these infantry units. Actually, I'm going to use these 2 infantry units to attack here. And then I'm going to use these 3 tanks to also attack here. We can cut this off. That's a lot of divisions that we are about to cut off here. Beautiful. So these guys are all cut off. That is like 40 divisions almost, and we want to just get in here. Wipe them out. So that's absolutely huge that we just did that. That, like I said, that's like 40 divisions up here. That's a very, very significant development in this area. So that will dramatically shrink our front line over here. And that's wonderful. So we'll get all of those wiped, and then we're going to... They have very few troops over here, to be honest. I'm going to move this guy to aggressively attack, and this guy to also aggressively attack at this time. Get in here. Fantastic. Can we just drive to Pyongyang? Hang on. Is this just open? Okay, I want to make sure that this is not too big of a situation. Also, northwestern Iberia, we are apparently losing some naval invasions here. I want to make sure that these guys are coming in here. I want to make sure these guys are coming in here. Okay. And then this is in southern Iberia and northwestern Iberia. So that's not a huge concern there. So that's all under control. This out over here, we still have forces on the way in. Our situation here is very messy because of these lakes. But for the moment, we appear to have this kind of under control. These guys, though, they're not in a great position. So I'm going to... Actually, they can fall back over this way. We can make sure that they have a naval base in these two locations, and then make sure that those are connected up like that. Okay, so that seems relatively fine. And we'll just continue to work on this area, but Korea here, this is in some serious danger for them. So I'm going to have this guy come on down like this. We might be able to encircle the entire Korean force here. We encircled the vast majority of them up over here. So that's absolutely huge. And I'm wanting to attack here. Get in here. Get that under control. Okay. We're about to take Pyongyang here. Move in here. Okay. So this is a very, very, very huge situation that's developing here. Absolutely enormous. Now, down this direction, we don't really have enough troops over here. That's understood. We'll get to that. But really, what we need is to make sure that this is good. And it looks like it is. So that's no problem. This is a problem. Why are we just not covering this area? Can we cover this, please? Apparently not. Hang on. Is there an army group up here that can cover this? No. This is a separate area. Okay. That's very irritating. I wish that the game wouldn't do this, but it does. So I'm going to have these guys come in over here. They're going to front line over this way, and their goal is going to be to offensive line up to here, and we'll tell them, go ahead and attack this. So where are these guys right now? Oh, they're... Never mind. Not this army. Not this army. I want a different army doing this. This army. Well, we need to just reorder this. Okay. Get over here and offensive line up to here. Very irritating that the game does this. It just leaves these gaps open when the front is interrupted by these lakes. But okay, there we go. So that's absolutely fine for now, and for the moment, I'm not too concerned about this area. This area is a minor concern at this moment, but I think we're largely pushing in on it, and that should be relatively okay. This over here, we need to get some reinforcements in here, because why are we abandoning Pyongyang's axis right here? Can we have a troop here, please? Don't just leave this open. That's ridiculous. Get in here. Push this guy out of here. We shouldn't have to fight for this. We just left this undefended for no reason. Okay, we can push in over here, which I'm very interested in doing. So we'll get that position anyway, and we're trying to push towards Pyongyang, but that's actually not happening now because of this blunder here. So that's very sad, no doubt about that. But we're just going to continue to push through this area, and that'll be okay for now. So these guys out over here. So we need to have this force out over here be doing some attacking, and I'm going to offensive line like this for the time being. Get in here. Start pushing them back. Cool. So that'll be fine for right now, and then this situation up over here looks largely under control. Okay, these guys are pulling back from this line. I guess we've only got the one army over here now. Right? Okay, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. We need to reorganize eventually, but we've got so many fronts going on right now that that's not particularly actionable at this moment. So this pushback out over here is rough, no doubt about that, but that's due to a reorganization, and that's understood. So we've got these tanks coming in over here right now, and they're just going to push this area back for the time being. That seems okay. And out over here, I really want to get pushed in over this way. They appear to be pretty okay on their supplies, even with just a singular naval base here. So we definitely want to push in over this direction. This is actually a really, really solid push for us. If we could encircle this, that would be huge. Get in here. And get in here. I don't want them to reinforce here, if we can help it. We can't help it. Okay. So that's fine. We'll just leave that be for the moment. So as of right now, this is looking okay. We'll get these guys pushed out of here. That's fine. So as long as this is under control, I'm relatively happy. Although I do want to grab this unit here and tell them to offensive line back up to this river. So I don't want to get too greedy on this offensive line, but I want to start pushing back up over here if we can. I want to check in on our tank count. Okay, it's very stable. I don't like that. I don't like how stable our tank count is right now. So that's definitely not ideal. Why don't we drive to Pyongyang again? It looks like they've left this undefended. We're in a better position for this now anyway, and I'd love to just do this. Get in here. I'm actually going to have these guys come around to the south here, like this. Okay, so I want to flank these very, very badly, and attack here, please. Cool. So we'll just see about something like this. We apparently are unable to fight this off despite attacking them at the same time. That was kind of wild. But we can move back in over here, and it happened again. We're still unable to hold this position. Okay. Now we've got this. And that puts us in a very interesting position indeed. I don't want to attack Pyongyang right now. Can we stop? There we go. I want to attack here. In the north. So that's fine for the moment. They're pushing out over here again, by the way. So that's very interesting. Checking in over here, the situation is largely status quo. So that looks okay by me for the time being. Out over this direction, we appear to have gotten a very small encirclement here. Let's just wipe this out. And just help this. There we go. So that's fine for the moment. And what is this? In southern Iberia? Okay. Yeah, this is pretty normal down over here. I want to get some troops over here. And we're going to want to get some troops. Where's the one that's moving here? There he is. Over to here. Cool. So something about like this, and we'll just get some defenses in here. I want you to come in down over here. And we'll just fight that off. So that looks okay for now. So down over this way. We've only got so much that we can do over here, right? But once again, I would like to pincer these off. So supply over here is pretty rough. We can actually make that a lot better with getting some motorization over here. So that looks fine, and I want to make sure that our supply line over here is a little upgraded. So we'll get that going. That should help our supply down in this area dramatically. And with that in mind, now I'm watching for a good opportunity here. And this might be one. I'd like to attack Pyongyang directly, but that's not really a super valid option at this moment. So that's noted. But what I really want to do is I want to cut this off at some position here. So we have a potential situation up here where we can encircle them again, and that's definitely noted. This down over here, as I said, that's pretty status quo for right now. This is also pretty status quo for the moment. I would really like to push in further over here, but as of right now, that's not hugely an option. So I want to check in on numbers here. 55 million to 18 million at this moment, and we can see Britain is about 8 million of those. Okay. Noted. So that's absolutely fine. I want to attack over here, ideally right here. Unfortunately, it's not the best of positions to attack, is it? So we're going to hold off on that attack. I'm going to let these forces regen a little bit. And we're looking for a better opportunity, but we may want to actually attack here. You might ask, why are we attacking here? The answer is because it allows us to have more... It allows us to develop the front over this way. That's the goal at this point. And apparently we're not interested in doing that, so we just kind of gave up. Cool. Well, for the moment, I'm relatively okay with that, actually. Okay, so out over here, I really want to get an encirclement done. I really want to get an encirclement done here. I'm just waiting for a good opportunity to do it. If we did this, we just can't quite push in there. So I want to move these tanks forward here and here. I want a bigger concentration of tanks. No, you guys stay. You guys stay. I want a big concentration of tanks right here. Stay. Okay. And with this concentration of tanks, I want to attack here. And then this unit can move here to help hold this area. It will arrive here shortly, and this unit of tank can roll down and join us, as can this unit of tank and this unit of tank. You can assist this attack. Man, this attack just is not going well. Yeah, it just is not going well. Okay, so we need to come up with another course of attack out over here. I think that's pretty clear. I wouldn't mind getting an encirclement up over here. Korea's gotta be running out of troops eventually, right? What's their... Okay, they're at 4 to 5 million. And in terms of their overall number of divisions, they have 28 to 45. We know we just stack wiped roughly a third of their army. So that's absolutely wonderful, but we're a bit stymied at this point. So the question is, what do we want to do about that? Well, this area is apparently tough for us to push into. This is a Hills province right now. And I would very much like to push in and take either this province or Pyongyang. Either of those would be magnificent for us to take. But it's very difficult for us to do so. I'm just watching for the AI to make a mistake here. Looking for an opportunity. We could try this again. Actually, it's going pretty well. I'm going to leave this infantry unit where it's at. They're probably going to reinforce this. But it is going okay. I'm going to use this tank unit to attack here, which is basically free. They were trying to attack here to relieve the pressure off of here. But wait, we just got this, and Pyongyang is undefended at this moment. We're being attacked here. I want to move, if this autosave would end, I want to move this infantry here to attack, because we want to try to roll across the river into Pyongyang, so we want to try to delay this as much as we can. Western Maghreb? Okay. So they're doing another naval invasion right out over here, and we can deal with it, but it's going to be obnoxious. We're going to need to pull some of these infantry units out over here and have them move to a fallback line that is right out over here. So they're going to position about like this, and we're going to assign all of them there, and these guys that are out over here, like, can I deselect the units that are over here? I guess I can do it this way. So these 13 would remain here, like this. And then 11 divisions would be moving over this way to try to encircle this area. Let's go. Apparently we are not interested in making our way over there. Well, that's fine. We're going to front line this and then offensive line about like this. They have no supplies right now, but they have the inside track on getting there. And we'll see what we can do about that. But for now, that's what we need to do. So up over here, the fact that Pyongyang fell is a huge deal for us. We need to select all of our units that we have up over here and tell them, just get in here. This is the majority of the Korean army at this point. I want to be clear about that. And we have them encircled, and they have no source of supply. And we're apparently just leaving provinces undefended. Can we not? Get in here. Okay, so that looks good for now. We'll get all of that under control. That's under full collapse. Looks great. And then forces are going to move down to this front, and that is a huge chunk of their forces that are just done so. Beautiful. So this is going to end. There we go. And what's the situation out over here? Yeah, that's about what I expected, to be honest. This is very obnoxious that they keep landing like this, but, you know, it works, right? What are you going to do? We need to get Korea out of this war, and we need to do it now. So this stack wipe here is a very, very big deal. And that will allow us to get these forces redistributed out over this way. And we'll be able to continue to push through. Korea should capitulate very, very soon here. They're 93% towards capitulation. So we need to get our forces up here. I want to attack out over here. This is a good attack here. I want to continue that attack. Continue the attack, please. Okay, so that looks fine. Our reinforcements are on the way in. And as far as this goes out over here, our forces are getting into position, but there's not that many forces over here that are going to be in that position, right? So I want to grab about half of these units over here and have them also come out over here. There we go. So that's going to take a little bit of time for them to get there, and that's understood. So we'll just need to deal with that, but hello. Hello. Get out of here. That'll be a stack wipe. Okay, so that's obnoxious. Assist us, please. There we go. There we go. That's now stack wiped. Perfect. So that's back under control, and we'll just continue to fight out over here for now. We are pushing them back on this front. That is definitely a thing that's happening. I want to grab this army group and set a offensive line somewhere around here so that this side is also trying to push in. There we go. Something like that. Let's get to work on that. And this is another couple of divisions out over here that are encircled. So we can push in over this direction, get them out of here. Korea just capitulated. Okay. So that's fantastic. We need to get their units that are over here under control. So we need to make our way down over this way. I want these guys to make their way down over here. There's going to be a little bit of awkwardness over this way, for sure. But Korea's capitulation is, of course, huge. So there's some stack wipes there. And I want these guys to make their way down over here. And then they're going to come all the way down this direction with the goal of pushing down to there. These guys are going to come down here. Okay, so I'm going to select this army here, which is this entire army. Apparently we have a bunch of them still out over here. They should not be there. Get over here and just push this directly to the sea. There we go. Now I'm going to take this entire army, and they're going to frontline right down over here, with the goal being to offensive line straight through here. Well, there's only so much offensive lining they can do there, but that's okay. So we've got Korea out of this war, and that is a very big deal. We need to get our tanks a bit more in position here, and that's going to take time. Apparently, we got a stack wipe over here. That's cool. And this naval invasion does need to get dealt with, but that will be a thing to be dealt with next episode. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Thylo K, The Omniscient, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Punching the Microphone, Nick Smarty, The Lounge STL, Spock, Moonfall, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.